I had binge read the entire graphic novel section of my school's library. Moved on from graphic novels to colored graphic novels. So they weren't black and white, they were full page color. And all of those, oddly enough, were Spider-Man. And then the next series that we had, well, they didn't have a series of them. The next one after that was The Runaways. And so I picked up the first one, and that might have been my sophomore year of high school, so like 2012. And I was really into The Runaways more than I was with Parker and Spider-Man, so I ditched them. Went to like my local city library, binged the 4 books that they had there on The Runaways. Went to the other one, binged the 3 books that they had there, although they were the same. Still read them, reread them, and read them again. Ordered some, well, made the library order some because it's free. It took advantage of my resources. And so I kind of completed that, the first actual set of books. They were never recommended to me, but I did recommend them to people. If they liked the Young Avengers, they would definitely like Runaways.
I agree.
There's that crossover too. So.
Yeah, I recommended it to a friend, and they still haven't gotten very far, but they really like the Young Avengers, so I'm like,
Come on, what are you doing?
Exactly.
They'll get there. They just, I don't know, I hate that people have to take their time with things. It's like, you're missing out on something so good. Benedict Arnold? Yes. I wanna say, oh man, I saw it coming, but also like, nah. Oh God. I remember my reaction finding out that he was the mole. Okay. So I found out he was the mole way before I got to it in the comic books. There were just like little, I don't know if it was because of like, thank you, Batman, I guess. Make me the world's greatest detective. But, like, no, you're reading, like, certain Batman comics and there's, like, little small things that, like, Batman only picks up on and then later, like, plays a part into the plot. But there were, like, those small things I just thought were really odd with Alex. And I was like, oh, man, this kid's kind of weird. I should keep an eye out for him. And then it was like, oh, no, I can't believe it. Don't want to believe it. And actually, that stopped me from reading on. I was like, nah, this is, nah, if I don't read, it's not true. But, man, it was definitely one of those things that, like, kind of rocked the boat and threw me off guard. I, expected the unexpected and got that. That makes sense. It's so weird when you find out too, because you're like, I thought about it, but it didn't make sense. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, why? I like the aspect of an Alex Rider character. It brings a lot of he brings a lot of that thing that the Joker brings to the Batman. Does that make sense?
A little bit. I
mean, they're 2 completely different characters, obviously, but just that fact that, like, this character is always fighting with Alex, or, someone will always be fighting with Alex in some sort of way. I think that's really interesting, and that he's never someone who can't be defeated. Just morals are questioned when being defeated. So I like that aspect of Alex. And I think that can be developed into many ways, especially with the moral compass of both Iron Man and Luke Cage. Or what did I say, Iron Man? Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Just because those are two very, like, morally driven characters. Thanks for being resurrected, I guess. I mean... I can't say that I was shaken more than I was questioning the intent of Elijah not having powers. Just because the Young Avengers, if I can remember correctly, I think that's them. They were sought out, right? And then put together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I question the intent of Elijah's not reveal, but the whole, like, I don't have powers, therefore I'm useless. But I have this option of gaining powers through this. I don't know. It's an uneasy, like, misunderstanding, I think, on my part. Because I just don't understand why. In terms of American-themed or American-costumed heroes that choose justice and liberty for all, that's exactly what they're fighting for. But when you put it in context with everything that America has done, from not necessarily, like, genocide, but colonization, smaller things like gentrification, racism, all those, like, negatives that are a huge part of American, creates a dialogue between Americanized characters of color, or American-themed characters of color, and then American-themed characters who are of that majority, which is usually Caucasian. In terms of Elijah being a Black American-themed character, I think it's important to have American-themed superheroes of color, because it shows the diversity of America, and each individual fight for those. This whole American-themed superhero, for lots of reasons, should piss people off. Just for, like, perpetuated standards of, like, what an American citizen should be. I think in the same way that I like the idea of Alex Wilder and everything that he can possibly do, because, when you're writing a character, there's no restraint until, you go to publish or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. But in that same way, I think, with Elijah, there's no restraint. But because we were talking about that American-themed hero, and Elijah is an American-themed hero, I would like to see that more, not necessarily like a political warfare Elijah, but definitely an Elijah that deals with, like, being not necessarily Captain America, but the Patriot, and being Black, and what it means to wear red, white, and blue as a Patriot, and what it means to wear red, white, and blue as a Black man. There should be a lot more coming-of-age stories like Alex's and Elijah's. I think those are not entirely realistic, but more realistic to young teenagers becoming superheroes. And for, I think that's the best part about it, because it is these young kids who are reading these comics and, growing up with these comics, and to display how important family is to a person, especially in society where the idea of a family is very misconstrued. I think their stories tell a very important part into why understanding your family the way that they do, or being as close and connected as their family, is very important. I think it preaches a good story of trust and relationship, especially in a family. It was so like comforting to read a comic book and see that like, oh, his family actually loves him. I think it's worth mentioning all the like D-list, C-list characters in terms of diversity. Not saying that a lot of those characters are diverse, whether it's ethnicity, race, sexuality, financial background, you know, things like that, all their identities, but it's definitely more diverse than what we see in like A-list, B-list superstars, superheroes. So I wonder what it takes to bring a C-D-list superhero up to A-B without like risking the integrity of that character, without compromising or anything.
Add Victor and Zab into the show.
Yes, do that. Do that.
If you're listening, Marvel.
If you're listening, do that. It's Jessica Alba as Carmen Electra. Like, does that not scream early 2000s?